really dangerous. This is not to contradict what he's doing. But you don't need education. You don't need all this. All you need is Jesus. No. You have to prepare yourself. We tell people you need to have a degree of mastery of 5 domains. And the first domain is the mineral domain. The planet is a mineral. The sun is a mineral. The stars are minerals. And you are made up of stardust. You are a carbon-based unit. That's what you are. And you are ignorant of the mineral domain. And if we just take the earth mineral, if I take the topography of the earth, you are ignorant of that. The very planet that's housing you. We don't know nothing about topography. We look at the continent we come from. What percentage is? It's only 4 main terrains. You have rainforest, savanna, grassland. You have Sahel, shrubs, semi-dry, and then you got desert. That's it. Most people think that Africa is a jungle. There's more trees in New York than there is percentage of any place in Africa except for the Congo. Did y'all hear me? But they got you thinking you come from the jungle. There were more trees in Europe than there ever was in Africa. He's up saying, don't shoot, marching, singing. Maybe it's time for us to go back to our ancient form of spirituality. So just keep that in the back of your head. Breathe in gratitude, breathe out love, reflect kindness to all. This is a reflection. This is what your church looks like. Whoever controls the minds of our children controls our future. We begin to awaken the very moment you realize one fact. You are creating your own reality through the energy of your consciousness. Don't put all your apples in somebody else's face. Don't say no matter what you do, some other entity can save you. The Creator sent you to save yourself. There's guides around here that can help guide you if you appear to be lost and you take counsel. But even I'm a doctor of naturopath holistic healing. I can't save nobody. The only thing I can do is give you some advice and try to create the conditions so that you can save yourself. But in the final analysis, who has to do it? You. Heal thyself. You are the only person that can heal you. Other people can aid and guide you, but you. Now I'm going to say something else that's going to sound crazy, but just bear with me. You have the right to be crazy. You do. The lecture gave you, and the word was with. You are that. You can speak. The other one was think, to think things into existence. The other one was to masturbate it. That's procreation, to bring things into existence. The other one, he spit forth creation, coming from your inner heart, your inner loins. Okay, so there to use that, almost every religion is going to use one of those, how things came into existence. This is an incense burner from Castile, which is in ancient Nubia, ancient Kush, Sudan today. What I want you to show you here, what's powerful here, this incense burner, now they got 3,800, but it's literally about 4,200, 4,400 BCE. But what's important here is that this existed before ancient Kemet came into existence. So you heard me earlier say that Kemet was the mouthpiece of the African continent. So now, that's just a statement. So now let me speak it into existence and show you. This incense burner was found in Castile, which is in present-day Sudan, before Narmer united Upper and Lower Kemet into a nation state. Here is the ruler sitting on his throne, on his square, wearing the white crown. This is 400 years before Kemet comes into existence. There's Haru, Shemsu Haru, the great falcon, on top of the Seret. That's on top of the White House. There's the 7-pointed star, which is Sirius A, the brightest star in the sky. We're already doing astronomy, which also represents Aset and Shushat. Here's the great black lion, which is the foundation of Haru and Aketi. Maketi that you see there, what they call the Sphinx, was an all lion first. It was the black lion. And then they put a priest's head on top of it, which was carved much later. So there it is here. Here are boats that travel up and down the Nile. This is, again, 3 or 4 years before Kemet came into existence. Here's a facade of stone of the building that the ruler presides in. So I'm just trying to show you all of these concepts were in existence before Kemet. So Kemet inherited this from their Nubian black brothers from up south. So many times I always put Kemet and Cush together. European Egyptologists try to make believe that the Nubians were the enemies of ancient Kemet. They'll show you Tutankhamun with some Nubians underneath his foot. He didn't show you that on the other foot, he had some Asiatics and Europeans underneath him. He was saying he was ruling everybody. He wasn't just picking on black, but they only showed you the black one underneath the foot. Wow. Archaeological finds such as the Custom incense burner affirms the cultural continuity between Kemet and Koch. Culture continuity, that's from the south to the north. When we begin to talk about civilization, there's 6 things we have to talk about. 1, a written language. Number 2, a sophisticated planned architectural structure. 3, planned cities, not just a village. Number 4, a functional calendar and organization of time and space. Number 5, an organized economy with planned agriculture and animal domestication. And number 6, a defense system to protect what you develop. That was done in ancient Kemet, ancient Kush, 1,000 years after the last great flood. So the last great flood took place about 10,000 years ago. So 1,000 years after, and let me just say something, the last great flood decimated about 90% of the world's population. Africa was affected the least because the whole African continent is a plateau. The whole continent is above sea level. So if the water rises 500 feet and you're in an island, that's all, folks. It's over. If you live along the coast, which most people lived along the coast, and the water rises 500 feet, it's a wrap. And you ain't got time to pack. Okay? Tsunami comes, and it's over. It's over. It's tidal waves, it's over. Earthquake, everything. Okay? 90% of the population. So before the Great Flood, Africans did not write down their stuff. They had symbols and stuff, but they didn't write down. After the Great Flood, they realized that since they've lost so much, that they need to record so that when the next catastrophe happened, records would be left. How many people heard the expression, the writing is on the wall? It's still on the wall, waiting for you to read it. But you got to learn to do much. I hope this clarifies the confusion around civilization. Culture is not necessarily civilization. The first humanoids had culture. So did Homo erectus and Homo habilis. Even cavemen, the Amu, have culture. Modern humans have been around for over 500,000 years or more, originating here in Africa, as in all other stages did. Diop did some fantastic work, and he showed that all humanoids can be broken into 6 categories. There were 6 phases of the human development. We are the last, Homo sapiens sapiens is the last stage. But all 6 are on the African continent. Only 2 in Europe or Asia or in charge of anybody's education. You need to be teaching with a timeline because you have to put things in spatial perspective. Now this is basically a 4,000-year timeline, and the Greeks and the Romans haven't come on the chart yet. Did y'all hear what I said? The Greeks and the Romans didn't come on the chart yet. So we built pyramids, we built monuments, we had great civilizations, we writing, mathematics, science, and even here, Tahaka, this is the 4th golden age. This is approximately 690. Now, 690 BCE is when the Persians, the Assyrians conquered Egypt, and then the Persians conquered the Assyrians. This is towards the end of Kemetic rule. And they had to rule for about 400 or 500 years. And then finally, the Greeks have and write the history of these African people we are controlling here in Kemet. We want to know it from the beginning up to now. And so Manetho broke ancient Kemet up into dynasties. A dynasty is a family rule. So it's not like a decade, 10 years, a millennium, 1,000, or a decade, or a century, 100, you know. A dynasty is a family rule. It could be 28 years, 152 years. It's a family rule or the same ideology. So he broke ancient Kemet up into 31 dynasties. But the people of Kemet didn't know nothing about it. This is after Kemet has fallen. Somebody goes back and rewrites the history and puts them into family groupings. So that's what Egyptologists use. My teachers, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben Asa Hilliard, Dr. Jason Crothers said this is crazy. That's not how the ancient Kemet defined themselves. So they broke it into 4 golden ages. So that's the way I teach it. 4 golden ages. The 4 golden ages is supposed to be the first 6 dynasties of ancient Kemet is the first golden age. Then there was the intermediate period where it was chaos, drought, the government broke down. Then people reunited again and we start the second golden age. That's the so-called 11th dynasty, so that you follow with me. So if you're reading their books, 11, 12, and 13 is supposed to be the middle, what they call the middle kingdom. We don't use the word kingdom because then that means that, how about the women? Kingdom is a racist, sexist terminology in itself. Yeah. So we say the second golden age. Very good. Okay. The third golden age is what they call the new kingdom. And that's the so-called 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st dynasty. But we call it the third golden age. And the 17th dynasty, see, is obviously black coming from the south. So they try to put that as part of the intermediate period, when really there's nothing to distinguishing. The ruler of the 18th dynasty is the son of the people in the 17th dynasty, so there's no change in family. But again, politically, they do what they want to do so they can try to separate from the blacks. So we have the third golden age. The fourth golden age, they leave out altogether. That's the so-called 25th dynasty. They try to say that that was foreigners. No, that's the Cushites from the south coming home to rule after it's been moved astray by the Libyans and other people. So that's just, it's like your grandchildren coming back to set your house straight. Okay? So that's the fourth golden age. So those are the 4 golden ages, and then you have foreigners, you have the Assyrians, then you have the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans, then you're going to have the Turks in 640. The Arabs come in and sack Egypt in 640 from Medu-Neter into Arabic. So that's the beginning of the great. There's no Quran when they, after that, all of a sudden there's a Quran. They claim they found some books in a cave. Okay, all right? But all of it's based on ancient Kemet. The Moors, you don't hear anything about the Moors until this time. So the Africans who were converted to Islam become the Moors, who travel into Spain bringing civilization. Okay? After the Roman Empire fell, and I'm going to go into great detail next week, when the Roman Empire fell around 465, the Vandals from Europe just came in and just tore up and wrecked everything. That's why today when you tear stuff up, they say it's what? Vandalism. Right. And they just went berserk on people because the people from Russia then were berserks. And when they just tear people and kill for no reason at all, they say you went berserk. Well, these are names of European countries, nations, and people. The berserks, the Vandals. So we use it today. Symptomatically, I'm trying to connect you with the thoughts. We say the words and we don't connect them to a people. Okay, so I'm trying to make that connection so you understand. So they try to make me like you were tearing stuff up. We created the stuff. They tore it up. Okay. So the first golden age, like I said, is beginning. This guy is Nama. He is the founder of the first golden age. Now, what does he look like to y'all? Does he look of African descent? He comes from the Sudan. Okay, so he is the founder. They'll try to tell you that the only black rulers in ancient Kemet was the 25th dynasty. That's ridiculous, okay? So, he is the founder. He sets up the first golden age. This is the Norma palette that he's wearing, the white crown. Remember the white crown? Remember the white crown all the way up here before Kemet came into existence. So here's Norma wearing the white crown, the same white crown that his ancestors 300-400 years before Kemet. Then he's wearing the red crown as he conquered the people from the north. In the north, during the intermediate period, we have a group of people called the Hyksos. Hyksos simply mean foreign rulers. Asiatics, they were the Asiatics that came in. Later it would be the Syrians and the Persians, but they came in. Was no turn the other cheek. They didn't sing "We Shall Overcome." There was no kumbaya. They came in and they took care of business and united the nation. This is called a Polaro Stone. This is a record of all the kings, so we know the names of all the rulers, male and female. This Mfundishi is the ruler's name, meaning ruler from the south and the ruler from the north. The north was where the beehives and the honey was, right? And then in the south was the soup plant. And so that was the symbol. When I said the name was Nepti is the two ladies, that's Nekabet and Wajet, which also represents upper and lower Kemet. That's it.
You said the soup plant?
Suit.
The soup plant.
Yeah, SW. The soup plant was food. It was used to make rope. It was used for about 10 baskets, everything like that. It was nutritious. So that was symbolic of the South. So that's why. Also, the soup plant was considered a symbol of divinity because it came from the South, from the land of their ancestors, the interior of Africa. So I'm trying to show you symptomatically where this is coming from. So this is why people want to say the Pharaoh. They don't want to connect you to the interior and the history and the culture of the people. We are the first people to domesticate honey and sell it around the world, import, export. And just about every time, they had barges of honey where they could control the bees' diet, and they would just have, honey made just from maple, honey just made from, the blueberries, honey just from this, right? So that's an ancient Kemet. So this is the first golden age. This guy over here is Pepi. There's Pepi 1 and 2, actually Pepi Menkara and Pepi Makara. Before the first dynasty, Egypt was, in fact, 2 lands. According to folktales, Menes, that's the person I just showed you, also his name is Narmer, the first mortal king, after the rule of the Necharu, united these 2 lands. But at the end of the first dynasty, there appeared to have been some rivalry between the 2. So we have the names, Narmer, Aha, Dajar, Dajet, Din, Abnedju, Semerket. So we know their names of all the rulers of the so-called first dynasty. When this was taking place, there's no other nation state recorded on the planet Earth.
Wow.
No other nation state recorded on the planet Earth. Okay, so I just need to just make that clear. If you went throughout Asia, there was no Persia yet. There was no Sumer. Sumer is one of the first Asian countries. That's not, because those are the same people, Kush. People will argue whether cuneiform is older or whether the Medu-Neter. But what I want to let you know is both of them were black folks. Both of them came from Kush. The people who created cuneiform and the people who created the Medu-Neter. So I just want you, it's like Tweedledee, Tweedledee. But the Medu-Neter is a little older, okay? And the cuneiform is only abstract. The Medu-Neter is a language of nature. So remember I said you need to know about the mineral domain, the plant domain, the animal domain, then the human domain, then the spirit domain. Yeah. And we are ignorant. I told you how ignorant we are of the mineral domain. Yeah. We don't understand the plant domain. We understand that that's the food that lives off of the minerals. That was in the first dynasty. At the end of the second dynasty, we had a rivalry between the Haru, the Shimsu Haru, the followers of Haru, the great falcon, and the followers of Set. So there was a battle. So the first rulers were Haru. Then there was a battle and Set took over. These guys got Set at the end of their name. Set at the end of their name. Kassim Kimble at the end wasn't taking any chances. He put Haru and Set on his crown. These are the people, I need you to see the people. See, this is why this is so important. That's the founder of the so-called Third Dynasty. Look at that brother. He looks like the guy in KRS-One. Doesn't he look just just like that, right? Look at this brother. And he's got big jumbo locks. This is before Rastafarians or anybody. Now, what? He's the king. He's wearing serious locks. And you can still see the chocolate on his skin. Heavy melanated dark brother. Nose, they tried to cut his nose off, but it's all over the place. This is him also. So this is Netremiket, or they call it the Zosa. The step pyramid was built for him. This is Imhotep, the first multi-level genius. These are all African people who were proud to be African, who depicted themselves black. This is Imhotep's mom with locks. She was a physician. She was also belonged to the royal family. She was not only a physician, she was a divine healer, an herbalist, and a scribe. So Imhotep, the multi-level genius, his mom's and pops was a genius, okay? His father was an architect. This is Pepi again. He is one of the last rulers. Here is this is Unas' temple. This is where the pyramid text comes from. Imhotep, the first recorded multi-genius. Third dynasty is still first golden age. He was an architect, an astronomer, a physician, and was known later as Asclepius, the god of medicine of the Greeks. So the first so-called, they were worshiping Imhotep, the Greeks, as their god of medicine, and they called his name Asclepius. So I'm just trying to show you the origins of all of this. We're still in the first golden age. Senneferu. This is Senneferu. This is his name. Senneferu means one who causes beauty. This is his son, Khufu. The Great Pyramid was built for him. This is his son, Menkaure. The second Great Pyramid was built for him. And this is his grandson, Ka-Afra. The third Great Pyramid was built for him. So I'm just letting you know, it's like a family rule. And here is Senneferu destroying his enemies. Again. And inside of his shin, he got all his titles. Look at here. Nasut Biti, Nebti, Nekabed Wajet, Neb Ma'at, Haru Nubu, Senneferu. So he's saying, I'm the ruler of Upper and Lower Kemet, master of the two ladies, protector of the two ladies, Nekabed and Wajet. I am master of Ma'at, truth, justice, righteous, harmonious balance, and I am one who causes beauty. So all that's in his name. These are the texts that if you learn the Medu Netra, you should try to get your hands on. The Mirkut Sebia, that's the so-called pyramid text. This is the inside of a pyramid. The text is on the walls, on the ceiling, and everywhere. You can still go see it today. See, this is not mythology, something we just made up. It's not some superstition. I can take you to Kemet, and I can take you right inside, and you can see this today. And we can read it right off the walls. You don't want to take anybody else's word for it. So that's where the Mirkut. This is about writings that existed 8,000 and 10,000 BCE. Then we have the Karas Sebia. That's called the coffin text. On side of every karas, a coffin, they would have sacred prayers and hymns. So somebody collected all of them and put them like in a book. And so today they call it the coffin text, but it was Karas Sebia. Then you have the Pert in Peru. The Pert in Peru is what they call the Book of the Dead. But it's really the book of life, the book of coming forth by light. So when somebody else's name their stuff, you see what happened? Book of Dead as opposed to the book of coming forth by life so I can live forever. Very different. Then you have the Shabaka stone, this is part of the Shabaka stone. Today it's being held hostage in the British Museum. And Shabaka is the fourth golden age, rewrote the worm-eaten texts and stuff that had been destroyed, rewrote it so that his people could read the ancient works. And then you have the Yebo stone, that's here. This is also during the time of Imhotep, where they're writing about how to solve the problem drought and stuff like that. And in this text is where they get in the Bible the whole concept of Joseph coming into Egypt, being the advisor, and then the 7-day famine. It's all in that text right there. They figured you would never learn to read it, so we don't even have to hide it. But I can take you right there and say, yay, brother, I swam. And you can just come right up to it and read the text. Actually, we have a book, my advanced students, we've retranslated it, and the book will come out like in January. So you can get a chance to read what our ancestors did. Science has proven that the pyramids and other monuments of Kemet, ancient Egypt, were built not by the Hebrews or foreigners, nor by slaves. They were built by paid citizens during the farming off-season. Since many of the mentally challenged Negropeans only